So what we are going to see today is certain contextual evidences, which may be true, which may not be true. I would like to put forth before you all. I mean, it clearly indicates there were a certain class of people who were participating in the overall administration of individual settlements to participating in the overall organization of the Harappan civilization, and also there are certain ideological motives which clearly indicate the transmissions between different geographical zones of the overall setting of the Harappan civilization. So it's not an extensive what is a kind of set of evidences. I would put forth three basic evidences. One is based on the setting of Dholavira, the architecture at Dholavira, and two more on artifacts. So I will proceed presenting. I mean, we all know how this civilization was announced as Indus Valley civilization, or in the different terminologies in the 1924s, and we all know how immediately within 1 week the scholars working in Mesopotamia, they came forth with a chronology. But the chronology was missing because we didn't have the written records to establish the kind of chronology established in Mesopotamia or the Egyptian civilizations. But the scholars working in Mesopotamia and the adjoining regions, they noticed the datable context in which Harappan artifacts were discovered, and they proposed a chronology of 3rd millennium BCE, and that's how immediately our chronology, our antiquity went back to another 2000 years. Now we have a better understanding after nearly 100 years of Harappan studies over different parts of the Indian subcontinent, be it in Balochistan or region of Pakistan or other regions. We have a better understanding, and it can be very easily compared with the Mesopotamian, Egyptian civilizations, and also other regions like the Oman Peninsula, which has come into focus very recently, or it was in focus since the 70s due to the works of Tosi and others. So all these factors, they have really helped in understanding the civilization in its overall setting in a better manner. So we know the distribution of these sites over a period of 100 years. Enormous work have been done by Archaeological Survey of India, universities, particularly MS University in the Gujarat region, in the Punjab and Haryana region. The Rohtak University has done some enormous studies. So several studies in different parts of this Indian subcontinent, they have really updated our knowledge, and we can clearly understand the sites. They are not restricted to the Indus River alone. I mean, it is spread over all across. I mean, so it's not restricted to one particular river site. So coming into the kind of concepts, I mean, we have been discussing on various excavations, various site reports sort of thing on individual artifacts. But overall, the concepts of urban or urbanism or civilization or city, it has grown over a period of years. We need to understand how the concepts came into being. We need to understand what is a complex society, how these complex societies evolved, what were the preconditions, what could be the overall setting, and how this actually came into being, starting from a early history of nearly late Pleistocene. I mean, if we look into the Levant region, Western Asia, we have the Natufians and even the pre-Natufians starting from around 17,000 years back. From that age onwards, how the climatic changes enabled the settling of humans from semi-sedentarism to sedentism, and ultimately they embarked on domestication of plants and animals, which was a crucial role in the emergence of settled life, and ultimately the emergence of smaller settlements, then later to towns, and then later to cities. So it was a gradual evolution that has helped the scholars, the anthropologists, to put forth several theories, and that have really helped in understanding the concepts. I mean, how we can define a civilization, how we can define urbanism or urbanness or a city. So several scholars, I have listed only a few of them. For want of space, only some hallmark observations. And in the context of the Harappan civilization, the four major preconditions of Kenoer or or the M.E. Smith's concisiveness of Gordon Child's 10 criterion, which clearly put forth certain preconditions. I mean, we need to look into certain things which might define urban civilization or urbanness of a complex societies. So some of them being monumental buildings, which itself is an outcome of emergence of elites, the control of trade mechanism by a group of elites, which might lead into kind of establishment their own settlements, their own kind of monumental buildings. And writing was definitely was there. Technology, definitely sophisticated technology. That again, it's elite character. Then foreign trade, which was again controlled by a group of people, not the entire population participated in the foreign trade, and also sophisticated art. So these important criterions, they can be equated due to the contributions of elites, and also participation of the larger participation of the population to a certain extent, that they were being kind of they've been contributing to various aspects of the urban nature and character. So several writings we have seen in the past defining that characteristics of the Harappan civilization. We see the multifold divisions of the settlements with nomenclatures like citadels, castles, straightly borrowing from the European medieval European context, so which may not be appropriate in the Indian context or the Harappan context. Anyways, there were multifold settlements. Normally, a smaller settlement on the western side, always or most of the cases slightly elevated than the other settlements, which can be seen in the case of Harappa or Mohenjo-daro, or even Dholavira. In the Dholavira, it's in the southern part. But normally there were settlements which are comparatively smaller in when comparison to the other fortified settlements within the overall setting of a site. But they were located prominently. They were slightly elevated, showing a continuous occupation, indicating its importance or the location in the overall setting, and also possessing certain monumental architecture. It may survive, it might not have survived. Like in the case of Mohenjo-daro, we see certain architecture which have surveyed, and this is the famous stupa mound where we can see the important architectural features like the Great Bath. We can see the close-up of the Great Bath. So there are certain indicators which clearly shows a part of the site which is again fortified, contains certain monumental buildings which could have definitely housed or meant for certain elites who might have been with the administrators, and they have controlled the overall administration and participating in the interregional trade and the external trade context also. And so there are certain artifacts which clearly are exotic in nature due to the complex technology involved in the manufacture, and also because these artifacts, they have been exported, they have been found in the Mesopotamian context also, like this Carnelian waistband, which is an excellent example of complex technology that was mastered by the Harappans, more appropriately by the Gujarat Harappans, because of their access to the earnest raw materials, even though we have an evidence of extensive bead manufacturing industry at Chanodado also. But these are the certain items of elite nature which have been manufactured by the Harappans and also traded upon. And coinciding with these also the gold jewelry, the silver jewelry, and all the other things. We also have this kind of decorated cornelian beads. Some of the best examples are coming from the larger settlements, the urban settlements. Even though the smaller settlements also have such specimens, but looking into the range of designs, range of the artifact assemblage, we definitely see these kind of again, starting from the single eye to multiple eye to this kind of a complex facial pattern on this decorated cornelian beads, they also definitely indicate an elite feature. Again, all the specimens, they are from Dholavira, which has a wide range of decorated cornelian beads, starting from the Harapan phase to the late Harappan phase. So this is one site which has clearly indicated various features that demonstrate the usage by the elite. So seal is also they can also be put into a category if we take into account of the trade mechanisms of the Harappans, because trade technology, they are intertwined, and certain production of sophisticated items, it involves the extensive trade mechanism that also had the technology component. The seals which facilitated the trade mechanism, which might have been used as an authentication of the ownership and who the traders or merchants are, could also be one of such items. And definitely along with the trade, we have these kind of chert cubical weights, even though we have a plethora of other materials from the site of Dholavira. We have weights in terracotta, in shell, copper, limestone, various kind of stones, chalcedony, quartz. So various kind of stones have been used, but the most prominent material used was this chert. And the complex technology, if we talk about, definitely the copper bronze technology is one such important item. And again, we have been listening to scholars how the trade in copper copper ore might have happened from different raw material resources, be it in northeast Gujarat or southwest Rajasthan to northern Rajasthan to Oman, Balochistan sources. So even Dholavira itself, it has resources from Balochistan to Gujarat, and definitely there are presence of copper ingots. So the ingots were traded, and the presence of the plano-convex ingots from Lothal and also Dholavira, and also parallels from other sites in Oman and Western Asia. So it clearly indicates a long-distance trade even in copper finished products. Sorry, not the finished products, but the ingots. So, and again, these things might have been also controlled by the elite. Similarly, there are various other classes of artifacts. I mean, we can go on endlessly discussing upon on these items, but some of the prominent again are these shell artifacts, and a few of the shell cylinder seals from the Mesopotamian context might very well come from the Turbinella, Pyram, Columella of the Indus at the Harappan territory. So we have complex technologies like faience, which originated in the early Harappan context of Harappa, where Canoyer notes the emergence of faience technology. And to the full-fledged development in the late Harappan period, we see several sites, how Mitatal and also Tigrana. And later, if you look into the faience artifacts at Sanoli, it's a clear continuation of the Harappan tradition, and all elements of the faience technology, even the motifs like the eye beads, they were replicated in the Sanoli faience artifacts. So these are some of the examples from the Sanoli assemblage, and one more complex technology, which really is an urban item or urban repertoire one can refer to, are the stoneware bangles. I mean, so far we have the recorded stoneware bangles from Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, which have been discussed in detail by Vidale and other scholars. And also now we have from Dholavira also the stoneware bangles, both of the oxidized and the reduced condition fired variety. So we have the various shades of grays and oranges, and we can see this is again a complex technology. And adding to that, it requires certain control, that like the kind of Mohenjo-daro evidence. It clearly indicates a state-controlled or an administrator who is controlling the production, maybe specifying the number of bangles to be produced. So because of the authentication put on one of the copper, one of the terracotta canisters from Mohenjo-daro. So listing some of these items, we will come to Dholavira. Looking into Dholavira, the context of Dholavira, it is very well known that it is located on an island in Kadir in the greater run of Kutch. But this is a present day map. I mean, if you look into the past situations, it could have been completely different. Drawing parallels from a 1907 article by Wright, if you look into the coast of the Kutch, I mean, it is completely different. I mean, we need to take into account of various factors while we discuss about the coastal networks, while we discuss about the inland networks, we'll discuss about the maritime networks. We need to consider about the ancient coastlines. And in this regard, an article by A.S. Gowd also, it clearly demonstrates how the past coastal coastlines could have been. And this is another indication of a map produced by Wright based on the evidences of 712 AD of the Arab conquest of Sindh. Based on the descriptive evidences available at that point of time, he tried to recreate the coastline of 712 AD. Even in 712 AD, on the 8th century CE, we see how the Kutch mainland is completely different from the present day context. I mean, there is no the plains here. I mean, if you look into this region, it is completely under sea at that point of time. So it was a completely arm of the Arabian Sea, and clearly there were two different estuaries, one of the Indus and one of the other is the Gagar Hakra, which is identified with the Saraswati River. So it was a completely different world, and we need to take into different kind of context in terms of identifying the trade routes. And Dholavira, since the very earliest, it was established around 3000 BCE and located in the southern part of the settlement, located between two different streams, mostly rain-fed at present. Maybe it was climatic changes might have given a different kind of environment at that point of time, but nevertheless, it was a continuously occupied settlement from around 3000 BC. Now the radiocarbon dates have clearly given a very good dating from starting from 3100 BC to 3000 BC to around 1800, 1700 BC. So it was a continuously occupied settlement having different facets of development, which is neatly recorded in one of the sections. So there we can see different fortifications established in different periods of time, and during the Harappan phase, it emerges into a full-fledged settlement. All divisions were established within an overall fortification with clear-cut individual fortifications named differently as Castle Bailey, Middle Town, and Lower Town. And we are going to concentrate more on this particular division known as the castle, the location of the castle, the individual aspects related to the castle, and how this could have been the house of the administrators or the elite. So one of the key trenches in the Dholavira is adjacent to the northern fortification wall, very close to the northern gate, where a complete record up to stage 3A. Stage 3A is the early Harappan, just before the Harappan phase, where we can see massive structures. I mean, even during the stage 3B, towards the end of the early Harappan, you can see a massive structure here with a corner bastion, which could be the fortification of that particular point of time. But there are evidences that the fortification extended slightly towards the northern part of the present fortification. So it clearly established a massive house complex or a huge monumental structure within the fortification, and that existed before the Harappan phase. Starting from the Harappan phase here, the Harappan phase starts from stage 4. We see a continuous occupation of massive structures. It's monumental. It's a massive, continuously occupied, and the exact thickness of these wall is not known because the excavations could not reach to this level on the interior side. because of the very good evidences of later period structures right on the top belonging to the stage 6 and stage 5. So there are certain monumental structures. The exact character we may not know, but looking into the massiveness of this structure of stage 3B, it clearly leads us to speculate or maybe even surmise that they were housing some important structures. And the settlement itself, it's a kind of a contribution of some mastermind who have planned the city in such a proportion of ratios. So it clearly established some well thought out plan, and for which a clear-cut administrative setup was required. The presence of elites were required who were clearly kind of organizing the entire population to create such a city. So coming into the particular division known as the castle. So it's a kind of a monumental structure itself in terms of the overall architecture. And if you see the area occupied by this castle, it's only 1.5 hectare of the overall 43.86 internal. I'm talking about the internal area of the entire settlement, that is 43.86 hectares. The castle is only 1.5 hectares, hardly 3%, and out of this 12.24% is the street alone. The street alone is 12.24%, 37.6% is the northern housing area, and the 50.16 is the southern housing area. So even though it is only 1.5 hectare or 3% of the overall city area, it is the only place where it is marked by monumental architecture. Monumental architecture, we are not talking about any household complexes or the individual buildings inside this particular area, because as I mentioned earlier, the later period structures, it has prevented to kind of peep into the lower levels. But nevertheless, we have seen the presence of the evidences of monumental structures. But the northern and the east gateways, they themselves are monumental in terms of all other gateways, because we have seen very simple gateways. Even the western gate connecting the western division of the larger part of this city, it's very insignificant. It is plain and simple when compared to the northern and the eastern gateways, and even the arrangements within them. I mean, I will be discussing more in detail about the northern gateway only. I will not discuss about the eastern gateway. Again, eastern gateway, it has its own uniqueness. And looking at the planning also, you can see it's laid out in very well laid out proportions. Dr. Bish used to mention this in detail about how they have precisely planned the settlement inside, and also the gateways, how they have planned with specific ratios and proportions. So this is the kind of thing what we see. And in the case of northern gateway, the approach itself speaks of somebody very important present inside the settlement. I mean, how this is approached, the settlement, it is approached through three different directions. One is from the Bailey. Again, it is guarded, so we're not going to discuss in detail about the thing, because there may be close association between the castle and the Bailey. But there are two gates from where the public could have had access. Particularly in the northern gateway only, I kind of speculate the public could have had more access, because the eastern gateway, again, it is more of an elite usage, because it focuses more into the reservoirs located to the east and these southern regions. But if we look into the northern gateway, it connects the huge ceremonial ground, or the multi-purpose ground, which is defined by Dr. Bish. It is located here. It's a huge multi-purpose ground is located here, and there is the eastern gateway of this multi-purpose ground. This is the eastern gateway. Again, it is well guarded. It has guard chambers. I mean, nobody can have very easy access into this gateway. I mean, it's highly protected. I mean, because it has direct access from the lower tone. From the lower tone, people might have granted access, maybe on certain specific occasions, because this ceremonial ground or multi-purpose ground, which was used for multifarious activities, maybe for festivals, for organizing events, then trade activities, display of crafts activities. So many different activities might have happened. And this ceremonial groundway also had different access. One from the lower tone, one from this part of the area, which connects the outer fortification here. There are two gateways from the bailey. So they had differential access. So one access is here from the eastern side, but again, coming to the other areas, I mean, once a person gains access into the multi-purpose ground, he cannot directly go inside to the castle again. Again, there is a system of network here. There is again a gate here, which is again well guarded, so nobody can enter into the system. So why such a differential security arrangements or different gate arrangements? It clearly indicates the importance of the individuals living inside the settlement. So once a person gains access here also, then again there are two different control mechanisms here. There was a gate here also, which is not preserved now, and there was another gate here. So this is the 4-level check mechanisms. I would say 3-level check mechanisms, because the first level mechanism is only for access into the ceremonial ground. There's a 3-level access mechanism, and this clearly establishes an important individual. So looking at the reconstruction of the northern gate, one more access check can be added here, because there is a structure here just before this gate, this outer gate of the northern gate. There is another wall here which leads into this direction. There should be another gate also. There are 4-level check mechanisms now. I mean, one from the entrance to the ramp, then at the top of the ramp, then before the gate, and again there is a gate. So this clearly establishes the most important component of Dholavira, and also the people living inside this settlement, who are definitely controlling the entry. I mean, not mundane people, not ordinary people. They can enter. There's only certain individuals who have a high status, maybe important traders. They could have had access, and also after proper check mechanism. So these things clearly establish the importance, and also certain other characters, like the presence of this large signboard, which might have been installed on the lintel of this gateway. These clearly establish the presence of elite. Similarly, the eastern gate, I mean, some components of the eastern gate, it also explains a manner in which 3-level check mechanisms were there, because there is somewhere here there's an entrance to the ramp, then there's a gate here, then there's another gate here. So this could be another mechanism. But here in the eastern gate, we have a very beautiful specimen of these pillar members, the exact function of them, which we could not understand before, because such pillar members were, these kind of pillar members were found in the case of Mohenjo-daro and Harappa. But in the case of Dholavira, when it was found in a contextual position, we could understand its exact position. And only these pillar members are only found in the gates at Dholavira, not anywhere. Gates of the castle only, that is the east and the northern gate, not in the other parts of the settlement. Again, it clearly indicates the sophisticated nature of creation of these pillar members, and that is meant only for the elite, and that's why they were exported to Mohenjo-daro and Harappa. And we have evidence of how these pillar members were quarried and finished, and ultimately traded to Mohenjo-daro and Harappa, pinpointed by wonderful study of Randall Law. So these are definitely elite items, only for the purpose of elites. And the gates, the configuration of the gates, they clearly indicate they are protecting the access into the settlements in different areas, and they were serving its purpose. And only the gates of the northern gate and the eastern gate and this north gate of Bailey, they are elaborate. I mean, all other gates are very simple passageways between different areas. And also this southeastern portion of the entire city, it had access to important resources of water management systems and also dams across the rivers, which was diverting the water into these reservoirs, which also clearly established the importance of the occupants of this settlement, and also the elaborate drainage system, the elaborate arrangement of storm water disposal system at the castle. It again indicates the important documents, the elaborate exit system of these reservoirs, also the close proximity of the castle with the reservoirs like southern and the eastern reservoir. All these things speaks in volume of the occupants of the settlement and Dholavira, and also the exceptional water reservoirs within the castle. These were meant for private use. It's not for the public use, unlike the eastern reservoir, which I presume it's meant for public use, unlike the southern reservoir, which might have been again meant for the elite purposes. But here it is located within the walled settlement of the castle, so they were meant for the private use. So again, a certain kind of funerary architecture available Dholavira in comparison with these sort of burials, which are plain and simple, some with some walled with limestone slabs. These are tumulus with elaborate architecture and rituals performed. This could be also of the elite. So coming to the other aspects, I mean, we all know there are very few findings of cultural representations. These are some of the fragmentary remains from Mohenjo-daro. Again, a large urban settlement. These are some of the male statue figures, some with head broken. I mean, you can see the head broken, how it is found in a secondary context. It is not in a primary context. It has been discarded, indicating the location of these finds. How the so-called priest king, it was also discovered in a broken condition, the lower portion broken. So it clearly indicates that these symbols of some figures, some important individuals, they have been discarded at certain points of time, and we don't know what is the exact reason for discording. Maybe differential ideology during the later period, but these figures, they are elaborately decorated. The broken features along with the partially preserved figures, they clearly establish the posture in which these figures, they have been originally intended to. Even though the head is missing here, the lower portion is visible. Here the lower portion is invisible. It's broken, so we can reconstruct how these figures might have been depicted. And we also have evidence of certain ornaments which have been elaborately dealt with by Canoyer himself, and how he has correlated this particular ornament, or this fillet combination of a gold and a stated ornament along with a gold fillet. It could have acted as a headband for this so-called priest king. So in the case of Dholavira, there's a figure, that's a stone sculpture, again found in a secondary context, found in a rubble in the east gateway. Again, the head is broken, but if you see the posture, it is very well equivalent to the so-called priest king and other stone sculpture from Mohenjo-daro. So clearly, there is an ideological transmission from Mohenjo-daro, or the ruling elites, or the administrators. They are the same, one and the same, belong to the same category of the people. That's why we see the similarity in the depiction of these kind of sculptures, and also the decoration. I mean, from Harappa, they have found this piece of jewelry which clearly coincides with this headband. But in the case of Dholavira, we see a similar examples. But in the case of copper, they have not manufactured in gold, but here they have reproduced them in copper, and also inlaid with this stated bead, and along with the gold fillet, it could have acted as a headband. And we also see examples in the case of stated also. So all these kind of things indicate clearly there are certain way of depiction of individuals, maybe elites, with this kind of headband decoration, and it could be the standard ornament for the elites. And that's why They are found in hordes in some of the site, like in Aladdin, we are seeing a complete horde, and there are other hordes in some other sites also where a complete headband is found with even the arrangement for tying. So these are all indications of elite, and also a kind of combination of several ideological transformations. So the final artifact which I want to pinpoint is the seal. I mean, everybody knows about this seal, where a deity is depicted. Deity is depicted inside a people leaf, or maybe indicating a people worship or nature worship, tree worship. Here the leaves are clearly depicted. You can see deities there with a horned headgear. A person is kneeling in front of the deity with raised hands. Maybe he's paying his obeisance again with a horned headgear. Exact pattern may vary as we listened yesterday, and a composite animal is standing here. Looking into Dholavira here, this is the Dholavira example. This is a seal from the stage 3B. In terms of Dholavira, it is early Harappan. We see the exact scene depicted here. I mean, it's not depicted as clearly in the case of Mohenjo-daro, but here what we are seeing is the theme is depicted here. The deity is depicted here with a horned headgear. A person is kneeling in front of the deity, and also the animal with standing beside. So this is a clear indication of how the ideology has kind of transmitted, and or these settlements might have been settled by the individuals or the administrators or the class of people having the same ideology. I mean, these are some of the examples which I wanted to pinpoint in terms of architecture, in terms of artifacts, arrangement of certain important components of the cities. Thank you.